Walk into the grocery store now and you honestly wonder how the hell we've gotten to this point. $20 for a watermelon. If you've been following inflation, it's just been going up. The latest reported is 4.4% for food prices, 7.8% for fresh vegetables. It's just been going up and it's becoming more and more detached from wages, which continue to stagnate. I honestly go to these grocery stores and I question every time, how are people surviving? I look at the prices of meat. I look at the prices of watermelons. I look at the prices of tomatoes. I saw a tomato, $5 for a single tomato. I cannot believe my eyes. This is what we've allowed to happen in our country. People can't afford to eat. No wonder the lineups at food banks are so much. No wonder food banks can't keep up. People can't survive.
If you've been to the grocery store lately, you've probably experienced that moment where you look at the total on the checkout screen and think, there's no way that's right. A few bags of groceries somehow turn into $100 or even $200. A watermelon costs $15. 4 chicken thighs are selling for $20. Grapes cost as much as an entire meal used to. For a lot of Canadians, this isn't just about inflation anymore. It's about feeling like every grocery trip stretches your budget further than ever before. Families are making difficult choices, cutting back on healthy food, and wondering why prices keep climbing even when we're told inflation is easing. Before we get into it, take a second to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoy honest conversations about what's happening in Canada. It really helps the channel reach more people. So what's really driving these costs? And why do so many Canadians feel like they're paying more while getting less? Let's talk about it.
Beef prices might not go back down to normal levels until 2033. The price of beef has soared in the last 5 years, jumping up nearly 65%. And March's prices showing just over a 12% increase year over year comparing to 2025 levels, with chicken going up 7.5% year over year and pork going up just over 6% in price. Food experts say severe droughts impacted the amount of cattle feed available to Canadian cows, and that's resulted in farmers having to buy more expensive grain, as well as have fewer cattle to offset the expensive costs of feeding them. That's according to the Saskatchewan Cattle Association, that says for the first time in years, we're seeing an increase of cattle in Canada, which means more beef may be produced, but it takes time, approximately 18 months for those calves to turn into cows before being processed into beef. And so we could start seeing beef prices starting to slowly reduce about 18 months from now, but it wouldn't go back down to prices that we saw, say, in 2019 until 7 years from now in 2033.
Last summer, 500 grams of lean ground chicken or turkey was $5 at No Frills. 500 grams. 450 grams is how much they give you now in the same package. And guess what? They cost like $8. The lowest I've seen is $7. That's what, a 40 to 60% markup for less. And like yogurt, Greek yogurt, the 750 milliliter tubs, they used to sell those for like $6.50. Now you'd be lucky to find it at less than $7 anywhere. It's insane. That was a summer ago. That was last year. What the fuck is going on?
Since when is a 12 pack of pop $10? I don't care what it is. $10. It's not usually that expensive, is it? Fucking bullshit.
$6.50 for a box of ice cream that's made here in Canada because Nestle's a Canadian company. Tell me it's tariffs without telling me it's corporate greed. Because we get milk in Canada, we make chocolate in Canada. Pretty sure we make our own ice cream no matter what in Canada, and Nestle is a Canadian company. So tell me it's not the tariffs, right? It's got to be the tariffs. No, it's not the tariffs. It's called corporate greed, and they'll just keep putting it up until we say enough is enough. So let's just keep buying it. I mean, even local companies are still $8 for a thing of ice cream. I mean, why are we spending $10 on ice cream? That's crazy. So, got to see the corporate greed, people. You got to say no, put a stop to it. It's not that healthy for you anyway, so I don't recommend buying it all. But, you know, you can indulge a little bit here and there as long as you're making up for it in the gym. But the pricing is just insane. So, Not only do you have to make up for it in the gym, you got to work overtime just to be able to buy ice cream. Crazy. $6.50 used to be $3.99 on sale for $3, and this was only 3-4 years ago. So what's going on, Canada? Be real with your ice cream prices.
This fucking cucumber is $2.50. One fucking cucumber is $2.50. This is absolutely fucking insane. This is crazy. This is just like, and some fucking retard out there is saying, well, at least we have cucumbers. I think as Canadians, we are extremely obedient and nice and compliant and just nice guy type of syndrome. Like we just put up with way too much. And the more and more people you talk to, there's people who make $300,000 a year and there's people who make $50,000 a year, okay? And still they're sitting there going, this is insane. This is absolutely crazy. The government collects tax revenue and they spend more than they make. This is normal. Food banks are having shortages. People are missing mortgage payments. Everyone's working. Everyone's working and paying taxes. That money goes to Ukraine. What is it, $4 billion? That has gone to Ukraine for peace. And like, oh my God. And then you look on the news and then Mr. Speaker, like, fuck, shut up. Like, oh my God. The whole, like, I just think this whole concept of you're gonna go to work and you're gonna work hard in exchange for money. As time progresses, you'll be able to buy less shit with that money. And in order to combat this, you're gonna gamble in the stock market. I mean, invest in the stock market, you know, for the long term, you know, when you're like 60, 70, 80, way down the line. And by then, won't AI and shit, like, the whole thing is just insane right now. Currently, the whole thing is insane. And I think out of the 40 million people or so that are in Canada, everyone's just working and they don't have the fucking time to just stop. Like, you know, everyone's mush, like, just keep going. And people don't have the time to pause and say, hey, what the fuck are we doing? Where are we going? What is happening? What's the plan? So this is a message to everyone who is also pissed off at the fucking cucumber. Just understand it's not your fault. If you are grateful for the cucumber, if you are, you know, oh, well, at least we have a cucumber, okay? Thank you for voting in a certain direction. For the people who are pissed off, just understand you're not alone. I think it starts with getting angry and frustrated with what the fuck is happening.
The frustration isn't coming from one expensive grocery trip. It's coming from years of watching prices steadily rise. Across Canada, people are sharing stories of paying shocking amounts for everyday items. Whether it's produce, meat, seafood, or pantry staples, the feeling is the same. Groceries are becoming harder to afford, even for households with steady incomes.
In here, trying to do some groceries, and London is literally trying to convince me as to why I need to buy grapes for $18.99 a pack.
They're special. They're from Taiwan.
Okay, they're special. They're from Taiwan.
And they're bigger than the regular ones you'll get.
Are we buying these guys for $18.99? Let's talk about it. And are we buying 10 kiwis for $11.99? I'm just not sure that we are. I think we're gonna stick to our regular grapes that are $5.99.
So this is what $90 got me in the store in this economy. Okay, $90. That's expensive for the little items that I got.
I just came out of the grocery store and I'm just thinking, how are people who are making like $60,000, $70,000, even $80,000 a year fucking surviving in Canada right now? Like, I make decent money. Like, you know, I pull in 6 figures and like, I'm struggling to be able to pay for fucking groceries. Between me and my wife, we pull in like good money. You know, we're considered lower upper class. And it's like struggle. We rent, yeah, we have some student loan debt, stuff like that. But Jesus Christ, $5 for fucking broccoli? Like, what the fuck is going on? $5 for a bushel of strawberries that are gonna rot in fucking 3 days? Man, I don't know, man. You people out there who are making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year, you are the true heroes right now, because I don't know, you must not be doing well. And my heart goes out to you. And I don't know, something's got to change in Canada at some point, because I don't see how this is sustainable for anybody.
Well, according to a new report, Albertans are paying more for groceries than other provinces, including our neighbor to the west. Coho conducted a report analyzing grocery spending trends amongst its users in the 4 western provinces, along with Quebec, Ontario, Nunavut, and the Northwest Territories. After analyzing data from 28,000 Albertans, the report found we spend just over $50 each time we make a grocery purchase. That is 18% higher than Ontario and 12% more than what people in BC spend.
Safeway is just insane. Look at the prices for these salads, okay? $20 for the salad. It's not that big. Look at my hand, I'm tiny. $18 for a Caesar salad. Yes, $5 off, but still. $12. 18. This little tiny thing of lettuce, $5. The salad, $10. $12. $10. $10. Used to be like around $8, $7 like last week. I don't know why they think that anyone would buy a salad for $10. I can get a salad for that price at like a restaurant. Maybe like $6 more, but I just don't understand. Like, what are we doing, Safeway?
This is a question for anyone living in Vancouver right now. How are you all affording groceries? Because I have been out of the country for 6 months and I just came back and I went to Walmart, like not even a high-end grocery store. I went to Walmart and I could not believe my grocery bill for like bare minimum things. How is everyone affording groceries here?
There are real reasons prices have increased. Farmers are paying more for fuel, fertilizer, transportation, and labor. Those higher costs eventually reach consumers. But many Canadians are also asking another question. If inflation has slowed down, why haven't grocery prices come back down too? That's the conversation that's becoming louder across the country. And while you're watching, let me know in the comments, what's the most outrageous grocery price you've seen recently? I'd really like to hear where you're watching from and what prices are like in your area.
Nunavut grocery prices.
This is ridiculous. You guys know, none of it is in Canada. It's still part of Canada. Why would I live in a place where ketchup was $40-something a bottle? No, okay. This is one time where I'll give somebody financial advice. I would actually get a car payment and drive that car to our next province, Manitoba, Ontario, some other province, and let the repo man come to that province and get the car. I would not be living in none of it where you're paying $40-something for box juice and $40-something for ketchup. Oh, that's ridiculous. Come on, Canada government. You got to do better than that. Those people are still living in Canada. You got to find a better way to get supply to those people. Let me know your thoughts in the comment.
This is a grocery store in Canada. Want you to tell me what's wrong with this picture. Take a look. Do you see it? Do you see the massive camera that needs to be installed by the meat? Because so many people now are struggling so badly that these stores need to add these cameras to make it so obvious that you're being watched because of the amount of theft that's happening. Because meat prices, the cost of groceries, the cost of feeding your family is so insane now. We just had inflation print out for food inflation, 7.3% year over year in January, the highest of the G7. Mark Carney said to judge him by the prices in the grocery store. So why are we not taking this seriously? 7.3% inflation print versus the G7? This is unacceptable. People are struggling. That's why I made a previous video. I went to Costco. The steak was $105 for 4 pieces of steak. These grocery stores need to put cameras on the meat. This is what Canada has become. Wages are stagnant. This is not acceptable. We hold ourselves accountable to our families and our work and our children and society. Why are we not holding the government accountable for their failures on food inflation when they themselves have said to hold us accountable to these numbers? They're utterly failing Canadians. This is unacceptable. Never in my life would I have thought cameras need to be put in place like this in our grocery stores because people are so desperate. And this explains why Violent crime is also coming up because people are desperate. People are trying to survive, and it's hitting them most where they can't even eat properly and feed their own families and children.
There's a cause to our huge monopoly problem. Well, actually, it's more an oligopoly problem. In the grocery markets, we have Loblaws, Sobeys, and Metro, which control 89% of the supermarket sector. In the airline industry, we have Air Canada and WestJet that dominate 78% of all domestic air travel. In telecom, we have Rogers, Bell, and Telus, which to themselves controlled 90% of all mobile subscribers. The banking market, TD, RBC, Bank of Montreal, Scotia, CIBC, and National Bank, they control 93% of all banking assets. In nearly every industries, we only have a few big players that capture all the market. This in turn stifles competition and thus leads to sky-high prices for consumers, lower quality products of services, little to no options, and much less innovation, obviously, and we're effectively held hostage. We need to enact, if we don't have already, or enforce, if we do, antitrust laws. I know the US has very strong antitrust laws that have been used many times over to actually break up monopolies. Canada never does this. We just accept the status quo that we have oligopolies that have captured the entire market and the consumer loses across the board. That's a huge problem in Canada as well.
What do you think is making food so unaffordable in Canada? You guys get in the comments. Obviously, the conservatives will tell you it is because of the carbon tax, right? That's what the conservatives will tell you. The NDP will probably tell you it is because the big grocers are constantly gouging people, and we need a public option in order to counteract these big grocers, and they agreed. Marcel says everyone should have a greenhouse in their backyards. As Max said, the proletariat should control the means of production. Interesting. In order to have a greenhouse in your backyard, you have to actually have a yard, my friend. Yeah, you might have forgotten that we're in probably the worst housing crisis, ever, probably. Or certainly in my lifetime, the worst housing crisis where housing is so unaffordable, my friend. Obviously, Makani and co have said, well, our plan is designed to work long term. We're putting all these structural changes in place that will long term make food cheaper in this country. And I was thinking to myself, well, first, you got to know what is making food so expensive in this country. Certainly production, which was how we got into talking about greenhouses. The amount of food that we produce in this country is part of the problem. We don't produce enough, which is why they're funding greenhouses. I like that part of the plan. Avi Lewis and Co. on the progressive side have said it is the fact that we have only 5 big grocers in this country that are allowed to gouge the citizens as much as they want. And what we need is publicly owned grocery stores that can sort of undercut them and provide affordable food. Okay. Tell me if you agree. Tell me what your thoughts are on this particular issue. But one of the things I'm going to throw in there as well, and I think this is where I think the Carney liberals have not done enough, and maybe they're working on it, but I have not seen enough from them, is the fact that our interprovincial trade barriers are really a contributing factor as well in the price of food in this country. In all the moves that they've made in terms of taking down interprovincial trade barriers, food has largely been excluded from all the moves that they've made. To think that we are in this situation where food is so expensive, being able to move food from one part of this country to the other will noticeably impact the price of food, and yet our provinces still can't find the political will, the desire to work together and lower these interprovincial trade barriers so that we can get food to our citizens. For me, I've always thought, though, that Avi Lewis has been suggesting this idea of publicly run grocery stores. And I'm going to tell you, I actually lean more towards the government funding food banks a bit more, because unlike the idea of setting up a publicly run grocery store and then, having to work through supply chains and all of that, and get locations, get workers, all those kinds of things that you would have to do in a publicly run grocery store. I kind of like the idea of a lot of these food banks already have the networks, the supply networks that they use to get food. So if you fund those directly, people in this kind of affordability crunch can go to a food bank.
The reality is that there's probably no single reason why groceries have become so expensive. Global supply chain disruptions, higher fuel prices, rising labor costs, transportation expenses, and unpredictable weather have all played a role. Farmers, distributors, manufacturers, and retailers have all faced higher operating costs over the last few years. At the same time, many Canadians feel that something else is happening. They're noticing that prices seem to rise very quickly, but rarely fall. They're noticing products getting smaller while costing the same, or even more. And with only a handful of major grocery chains controlling much of the market, many people wonder whether there is enough competition to bring prices back down. Whether those concerns are fully justified or not, one thing is clear: trust is starting to erode. Food isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. When families begin skipping certain foods, buying lower quality alternatives, or changing their diets simply because they can't afford what they used to buy, that's about more than economics. It affects health, quality of life, and financial security. What makes the situation even more frustrating for many shoppers is seeing credit card promotions at grocery stores. Some people are asking whether consumers should really need financing options just to afford basic household essentials. At the end of the day, Canadians understand that businesses need to make a profit. They understand that producing and transporting food costs money, but they also expect fairness, transparency, and prices that feel reasonable for everyday families. And that's why this conversation isn't going away anytime soon. Now, I want to hear from you. Have your grocery bills gone up over the past year? What's the most expensive grocery item you've seen lately that made you stop and think, that's ridiculous? Share your experience in the comments because these conversations help paint a bigger picture of what's happening across Canada. And if you found this video informative, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It tells YouTube that this is a conversation worth sharing with more Canadians who are dealing with the exact same issue. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. I post videos covering the cost of living, Canadian news, and the everyday issues that affect all of us. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.